Vamshi, good evening, Vamshi. Good evening. Yeah, good evening, Helen. Good evening, Prashant. Good evening, Prashant, Satya. Good evening, everyone. Fine. So good evening to that person with the ideal one. I don't know what is the name. So now, we were discussing about AVSPA. So we are discussing about AVSPA, right? So AVSPA, we discussed about all those things. What exactly, when it started, what are the special powers given, where it is applicable, what are those disturbed areas, all right, and how it is declared, and what are the things like what are the special powers which are given, why the specific controversy. I specifically emphasized on like the controversy is not about the powers but about the immunity which is given actually. All right, so the immunity which is given, and that is what we have seen. So till the case, I guess we have seen this case. All right, so I guess we have seen like, so as far as the as far as the just a minute people. As far as the Supreme Court, what exactly Supreme Court said about AFSPA means, Supreme Court said like AFSPA is, it is not it's not unconstitutional, or it's not against the constitution. All right, so AFSPA, the provisions of AFSPA is constitutionally valid, and the immunity which is given is reasonable restrictions, it is allowed, but the thing is that it's not absolute immunity. All right, so what they said is that like if it is there is an encounter, you have to get the permission of the central government, and thereafter you have to proceed the cases, don't delay that actually. Fine, so that is what the position is. So you see that the Supreme Court held that like there is no such absolute immunity. You have to face the music. You see, after this case 2016, like the special investigation team was appointed under the chairmanship of Santosh Hegde. So he found like 6 cases wherein like all the 6 cases out of the 1,500 cases, he took 6 cases, and all these 6 cases he found to be in fake encounters actually. So after which a lot of cases have been like pressure from the social media, civil society, that like you should file FIR against other people also, other encounters also. But you see, still now I said like there is a lack of clarity even with respect to the Supreme Court judgments. All right, meaning what? The Supreme Court orders are not followed. So even though the Supreme Court directed the government to go ahead and give sanctions for the pending things, but still the sanctioning is not done. All right, so I said no government, no party is ready to go against the armed forces. Whatever the party which is ruling at the center, so they are not ready to take an action. All right, so they're not ready to take. Only if they give first of all the permission to file a legal proceeding, only then we'll get to know that is a genuine encounter or fake encounters. But that itself is not happening. So that is what the position of AFSPA is. And we have discussed about three things also, three committees also, right? Did we the committees also? So all these committees recommended for the revoke or the repeal of AFSPA. But the thing is that these committees are of, you can say, non-binding in nature. They are only recommendatory in nature. So they have submitted their kind of versions. So all, be it starting from Justice Jeevan Reddy committee, or you can say Justice Verma committee, spoke about the sexual violence of women at the, you can say, armed forces area, and third is about the Santosh Hegde committee. All these committee recommended for changes or repeal of AFSPA, but none of them is kind of followed actually. So this is what the role of committee is actually. Fine. Next, I guess we have to start with NHRC, I guess, is it not? Fine. So we'll start with NHRC. So what is the role of NHRC? What is the role of NHRC? Like NHRC, you see, NHRC is a statutory, or a, is it a statutory body or a constitutional body, people? NHRC, is it a statutory body or a constitutional body? Hmm. Is it? Okay. So what is the meaning of statutory body? First of all, okay, people said like it's a statutory body. So what is the meaning of statutory body? A statutory body means like wherein the powers actually, all right, so brought by law, it's more than autonomy. So basically what a statutory body means, a body which derives its power from a specific statute or legislation or law. So that is what called as statutory body. If it derives powers from the statute, it is a statutory. If it is coming out of constitution, it's a constitutional body. Now the point is, So if this, what is the statute related to that? What is the statute related to that? That is the NHRC Act. All right, it is the National Human Rights Commission Act of 1993, which made this one to came into existence. All right. So what they can do, like already what they have done is NHRC has given a series of, you can say, guidelines. NHRC has given a series of guidelines, as well as you can see what you can call it as instructions. So NHRC has given a series of guidelines and instructions related to fake encounters or related to encounter deaths. In fact, I can say encounter deaths. Meaning if there is any extrajudicial killing in the form of encounters in the AFSPA area or where the armed forces are active, they have to file an FIR immediately. So it has to be reported to the SP of the district, and an FIR has to be filed. And if at all they arrest any persons, if because like as a part of this encounter, if they arrest anybody else also, the moment they arrest, they have to hand over them to the police. Actually, they should not keep them for investigation because they don't have the powers of investigation. So these are, there are several such instructions and guidelines actually. So how the army has given the do's and don'ts, NHRC has given its guidelines and instructions. But these guidelines and instructions, you see, it's again like, no, see, the armed forces don't even follow what Supreme Court said. Then how will they follow this so-called NHRC, which is, said to be a toothless tiger? Supreme Court, once it commented this commission, NHRC, to be a toothless tiger. Why it is considered to be a toothless tiger? Because of the fact that like its recommendations are non-binding in nature. Because its recommendations are non-binding in nature. So mere recommendatory body only. You see, at the maximum, what they can do, they can, at the maximum, what they can do, they can take suo motu cognizance. They can issue a notice. What exactly is this issue? So I have heard about this issue in the newspaper. What is it? Why can't you answer this one? So that is what they can do, that encounter deaths. They can't do anything else. Okay, so that is the reason why. So NHRC also, so many times it is kind of bringing into notice all those fake encounters. But the thing is that it's not anything conclusive or decisive it has done. All right, so because it's not to blame, because like that is what the kind of structure NHRC is there. Fine. All right. So next one we are going to see what are the arguments. So what are the general arguments? So we have seen the basis of arguments based on the Supreme Court and what exactly said by the committees. Now the generalistic arguments. What are the generalistic arguments against AFSPA or for the revoke of AFSPA, for the repeal of AFSPA? All right. So the first of it is AFSPA has failed in its objective. AFSPA has failed in its objective of restoring normalcy. AFSPA has failed in its objective of restoring normalcy. You can take the case of Naga insurgency. You see, for the first time I said it was introduced in India in the year 1958, post-independence. Before independence, 1942. After post-independence, it was introduced in the year 1958 to counter Naga insurgency. But today, even today, the Naga insurgents are very active, NSC. Similarly, the case of Jammu and Kashmir also. So despite being there for more than 60 years, it has failed in its objective. It has not restored normalcy. This is point number one. So because of AFSPA, there is increase in fake encounters and sexual assaults in the disturbed areas because of WAPSPA, there is an increase in number of fake encounters as well as sexual assault. Now you can give examples of one of the most controversial case of Tangjung Manorama. All right, that was in Manipur. And you know the cases of like Irum Sharmila. Irum Sharmila was not killed actually, but she was fighting for the revocal of AFSPA. But Tangjung Manorama was killed actually, but there are also. So she was allegedly, you can see, raped and killed. So there is one set of, you can say, medical evidences which said that like, okay, she was brutally raped and killed, and another which says that no, she was not raped actually. There is again discrepancies in the case of even the medical evidence also. All right, but having said so, there are instances. It's not to be kind of which is, we can't deny that like there is no such fake encounters or rape or sexual assault. Now, why, if you see why it has increased, one of the reasons, I'm not speaking about fake encounters as such, like, but encounters as such. Encounters may be genuine also, encounter may be fake also, but why there is a lot of such things? And one such thing is, first of all, for awards, rewards, transfers, as well as promotions. Awards, hold it, transfers and promotions. You see that like people, this is I'm speaking about what? And this is I'm speaking only about the encounters, not about sexual assault. There is one classic case of Colonel Ketchup. Now, who is this Colonel Ketchup means? This person, what he did actually, so it was in the 2000s, he was working in Northeast. So what this colonel did, like he kind of made one person lie on the ground and then pour some ketchup. Yes, I'm right, ketchup, the tomato ketchup, you know, this tomato ketchup he used to, sauce only. He used to pour on the body and then take a picture that I've killed this person, a terrorist. So why he did that actually? Because there is a system in the army that like if you do kill persons in encounters, you have points which will be carried for rewards, awards, or even for promotions. So they made staged actually, fine. So that is what they stage these things. So maybe you can thank that people, at least he don't kill someone fake actually. But you see what about the mentality of the people as such? The mentality is that like you see the moment terrorist comes. Now these people like the first of all they'll think about the awards and maybe the promotions only, because instead of like rather than they try to catch him alive, they'll try to kill him only because of rewards in the mind. All right, so that is kind of an attitude is there. But after 2016, like, so there was series of cases after 2014-16 and all, after which the court said like, no, there is no promotions, no award unless and until it is proved to be a genuine encounter, not a mere encounter. No, you have to file a case, and that case it is known that the people were terrorists, after which only the reward or award should be given. The gallantry award, no, for bravery. Those awards should be given only after that. That is what given. All right, so this is the question right now. So these are the problematic issues, and these are kind of taken off. Okay, next one. Next one is, the third one is inaction. Inaction by the state against perpetrators. Inaction by the state against perpetrators. Inaction by the state against perpetrators, like you see, even though court has said there is no absolute immunity, there is thousands of cases pending. All right. without the sanction of, or you can say for the sanction of central government, neither accepted nor rejected. So lot of cases are pending. Lot of cases have been pending. This is one of the reasons. So the inaction of the state by or against who is the perpetrator means one who committed the crime. So the state, which is supposed to be the protector of the people, they are kind of protecting the perpetrators. Understand? That is what. See, it's not like in any case, like, so there are genuine encounters. No one's going to deny that. But only if you like arrest those people who involved in fake encounters, only then people have the faith on the government also and the armed forces also, right? It's not that the entire 1,000 encounters are genuine. There may be 10 also, there may be 100 also, even 1 also. But once you punish that one person, it will be a deterrent to the other armed forces not to involve in such fake encounters. At the same time, it will ensure the faith on the system also. But if you don't do that, like, what will happen? That is what the point. The next one is AFSPA has resulted in the suspension of fundamental rights and civil liberties, thereby weakens the democracy. Thereby weakens the democracy. We speak about UDHR. India is a signatory to UDHR ICCPR. India is a signatory of UDHR. What is the meaning of UDHR, people? UDHR means Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Universal Declaration on Human Rights. ICCPR stands for International Covenant, COVENANT, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. So India is a kind of signatory to these things, UDHR as well as ICCPR. These are called as what? These are called as human right instruments. These are international human right instruments. Covenant also meaning like the same thing only. Covenant is also kind of, you can say, convention, an agreement, a treaty, all the same thing only. So India, we boast being a largest of democracy, one of the earliest of democracy. But thing is that, but we don't have what? We don't have a proper mechanism to kind of support the civil liberties or to provide, safeguard the civil liberties. Like act like AFSPA is taking away, act like AFSPA or UAPA taking away your civil liberties. That is the criticism all we have. Understand these? So these are the arguments, since it is taking away this, and since there is a lot of cases pending, and these are the arguments on which, like, first of all, the basic premises, apart from the committees thing and all, you can mention this. All right, so take points from the Supreme Court as well as from the committees, and also these general points also. All right, next one. What are the arguments for AFSPA? What are the arguments for AFSPA for those people? Especially here, we are going to discuss mostly from the arms perspective. All right, armed forces perspective. What? First of all, they said it's basically because of necessity only. Basically because of necessity. What is the necessity? So it is because of the inadequacy of the police forces. It is because of the inadequacy of the police forces. The armed forces are brought in as a last resort. The armed forces are brought in as a last resort. Only when the other forces fail, no, only when the state police forces as well as the other people fail, like, you bring army. And that too, army, why special powers are given? Because there is a lot of insurgency where you are unable to tackle them. That is the reason special powers are given. Now, the thing is that who is to be blamed for this existence? When people say 60 years of this, it's there, it has failed in subjective of restoring normalcy. The point, What armed forces said, see, I created a peace dividend. All right, I created what is called a peace dividend. So I fought against the insurgents, I fought against the terrorists. Now it was your duty. Whose duty? The administration. So it was the administration which failed to capitalize that peace dividend, which was, you can say, brought out, delivered by armed forces. See, both things, like we have seen since the Naxalism, right? Security plus development. We have to go for security, then parallelly development, because without security, you can't go for development because they'll destroy everything. Without protection, nothing can be done. So you have to ensure the strength of security, some other doctrine, thereafter you go for development. Now here is also, we are kind of focusing on those terrorists so that like it does not affect the day-to-day civil administration. But what you did, you should have capitalized that thing, right? The peace dividend which was there. See, since it's because you did not do that, you left the unemployed, the people, the lack of development, again it has kind of forcing the youth to join the movements. So that is what, it's not we failed, the administration which has failed. Understand? So the administration has failed to capitalize the administration has failed to capitalize the peace dividend which was delivered by the armed forces. All right. The administration failed to capitalize or make use of the peace dividend which was supplied or which was delivered by the armed forces. Apart from that, they say that it will dilute the capacity of armed forces. If you revoke AFSPA, that will dilute the capacity of the armed forces, that will bring down the morale of the armed forces, that will demotivate the armed forces, whereas on the other hand, it will motivate the insurgent leadership. On the other hand, it will motivate the insurgents or the terrorist leadership. All right. It will motivate the insurgent leadership. UDHR means Universal Declaration on Human Rights, people. UDHR means Universal Declaration on Human Rights. It will demotivate the armed forces, and it will adversely affect the governance also. It will adversely affect the governance also. Now you will decide. That is what they say. They put the ball in the court of the government's court, I mean. Just now people simply say that like, no, we are ready for it. But the thing is that like, if you want to tackle terrorists, we want AFSPA. If not, you yourself handle. Now that is the situation actually. So the thing is that is the reason why it's not about revoke of AFSPA or AFSPA should be there, but with necessary conditions. So the most important is, first of all, the pending cases, FIR should be filed. So people should have faith in the armed forces and the judiciary. That is what it's not about a revocal of AFSPA or kind of, you can say, the continuance of AFSPA. So AFSPA, it's not a problem, but the problem is about immunity which is given. That is what ultimately, that is what. So you have a lot of arguments to put, a lot of points to put. If they ask in the interview also, I guess you can balance it. In the mains also, if they ask, you can balance it. From the prelims perspective, if they ask about the specific states, which is very unlikely, maybe if they ask, because the kind of trend the UPSC is going, they can ask any factual questions. So maybe you can discuss about those states also. Fine. So this is how you can go through. Fine. So this is how you have to prepare. So most from interview and mains perspective, and from prelims perspective. Fine. How to conclude now? No, see, how to conclude? So So that's what, concluding, that's what I said. No, you have to say that, like, see, these are the things they said. So more than, so the debate is, you should conclude saying that the debate is not about revocal of AFSPA or the continuance. First of all, whatever the perpetrations which are made already, the people who are affected already, there is thousands of cases pending, right? So let, first of all, the inquiry be happen. Let the inquiry happen. After which, like, if at all it's a fake encounter, let them be punished. If it's a genuine encounter, you give them reward. So that itself kind of give the confidence. Just by revocal of AFSPA, what about those 1,000 cases where people have died? How will you bring justice to those people? Understand? So you have to prepare for those justices. So that is what. So first of all, preparation for the past injustices happen. Then you speak about revocal. So revocal is not pivotal right now. All right, so that is the first thing. Then you can discuss about it. Fine, that is how you have to discuss about it. And I said, what is the meaning of peace dividend? It means the benefit out of that. So by AFSPA, the benefit is, like, there was a kind of a situation wherein the armed forces brought violence under control. The armed forces brought insurgency under the control. The armed forces brought infiltration under the control. That is called as peace dividend, a benefit out of that. Understand? All right, fine. The next one is, so that's all about AFSPA. Any other doubts? Like, can we go ahead with the next one? Fine. So next one, we are going to discuss about this VAM policy. So next one, we are going to discuss about this VAM policy. Okay. So first of all, I guess the three aspects, three dimensions we have seen, right? So first of all, what are the various security forces? Kind of a comprehensive view, bird's eye view we have seen. And secondly, the most controversial AFSPA law we have seen. And the third is, right now we're going to see VAM policy. You know what is VAM policy? Winning hearts and minds. VAM means winning hearts and mind. Okay. Now tell me, people, what is your perception about police? What is your perception on police? I'm not speaking about armed forces. I'm speaking about the police, state police. You can frankly tell whatever you think about it. Like, maybe because mostly people say corrupt. So I'll start with, because I have given the lead. Now we can continue that lead. Okay, people say mostly they're corrupt. Okay, fine. They're hardworking people. That's a blatant lie, no? Chandramohan, you're from any a police family. Arrogant and authoritarianism. You see? Okay, fine. Not that great because of road rules. Okay, that's something like, no, that's very bad. Arrogance. Okay, they label them as friends, but they seem to be very violent. Okay, rude and arrogant. Okay, so most of you, okay, they're very harsh. Okay, fine. Okay, in this pandemic situation, they played a very major role and helpful. Okay. Okay, so there are some good officers also. Okay, fine, but okay, fine. But I don't know why you speak about road rules. Like, I don't know Gauri Shankar where is from. Like, one thing I liked in Trivandrum is, you see, people, like, they'd never cross this zebra crossing. They used to maintain that discipline. I see, like, whether it is a wine shop or whether it is in the road, like whether it is in anywhere ration shop, like anywhere they maintain that, like. Okay, so Kerala is known for violence and other things because of this political violence and all. I'm not speaking about this one, but despite that, you see that, like, you find that strict sense of, you can say, discipline there. But I don't think so. People in Chennai, we should not speak about those road rules actually. If you are from Chennai, I'm speaking about it. Fine. Okay, some sort of problem with youngsters. Okay, responsive. Okay, fine. Okay, now the point is, like, you see, and people have that, especially you see that at this point of time, maybe people in Chennai, like maybe another 1 week later, or especially in the month end, like if you find any police officers in the road, like you'll definitely start thinking, okay, month end they'll start the collection, call it as vasulist and other things and all. Fine. So that is what, and you see, like I've seen the kind of perception whenever I go to a hotel, if at all it happens that a police comes in, have his breakfast or dinner, and next to that, say 5 out of 10 times, you always see the fellow persons, the fellow citizens who are eating there at the hotel. So they always look kind of in a very bad expression, and they used to speak that, you see, that police, he would not have paid the money. He got it, like they call it as in Tamil OC Sor, like you see, he got it free of cost. He would not have paid the bill. See, like, so this is what the perception is actually. So you always have this bad image about police actually. So apart from that, like people speak about rudeness and arrogant and all. Now, so I would like to draw an analogy, a kind of a comparison. Now, what is this comparison? This comparison is between, you can say, a sheepdog, and a wolf. All right. So you might have seen in the kind of countryside or rural side I'm speaking about it, you have a herd of sheep or goat. To protect that sheep or goat, like you have a sheepdog, a dog which protects that herd actually to take it in the grazing land. So basically it is meant to control the herd also, at the same time to protect them from the predators, the wolves and other things. Now what exactly? In the morning time, when they go for grazing, these sheep, they don't want the sheepdogs around to be there. But whenever they kind of alarmed because of a predator's call, all right, soon they expect the same sheepdog to protect them. Is it not? This is what. Now, so who is the sheep here? It is the people. Who is the sheepdog here? It is the police. Who is the wolf here? The criminals. This is what normally mentality. In normal times, in the peaceful times, you never know their importance, significance. You keep on saying that, oh, I don't like police, they're rude, arrogant. But whatever it is, if there is a criminal thing, so I wish it should not happen to you, but the thing is that if you come across any such problems, whether you trust them or not, whether they're rude or not, whether they are friendly or not, whether they're corrupt or not, whatever it is, you have to trust them, and then you get to go seek their help. This is what, right? This is what been exactly happening, not just in India, it is in other countries also. Understand? So this is the reason why. So this is the reason why this analogy, I said, like you have to, first of all, I'm speaking about the public police perception, right? So here, if it is the case of police, just imagine if this is the case of police, just imagine the plight of armed forces. Armed forces every time, the kind of, maybe I said every time they're with arms only. So for which I'll just show a kind of a video regarding this one. இதை ஷேர் பண்ணுங்கப்பா, ஸ்க்ரீன் ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க. See, look at this video, people. I'll just point out in two areas. So this is a kind of an operation normally which happens in Manipur. Like, so in order to bring the difficulty of the armed forces, like I've taken this one. So you can see that, like the kind of suspicion, especially one point I'll show. Please do watch that, and I'll discuss about that also. And this is what I said, like how people, you see, like you have to suspect every tribals. Yeah. So how to, this is what the question is now. If this is a case of, say, police, like police itself, like we have such problems, we have a very bad perception among the public. So if that is the case, like what about these armed forces people? Like you see, you can't blame the armed forces also, because they have to suspect. I even mentioned in the free movement regime also. You see in the free movement regime, wherein like people are allowed to go inside Myanmar 16 kilometer, right? So they can carry as many loads in their head actually. They can carry as many load as possible in their head, like crossing the borders. They can go to attend the religious functions, social functions, to trade also. But the thing is that in that head also, they used to carry the weapons. So it's very difficult, like, among the Naga people, who is an insurgent, who belongs to NSA and I, who belongs to NSC and K, it's very difficult. I'm not just speaking about the counter insurgency. I'm speaking about even for the survival. Suddenly you see tribal may come and they can kill you also. I mean the persons, armed forces also. So you have to suspect everyone. That is what. But the thing is that if you keep on suspecting everyone, at one point of time, what will they do? Okay, they'll kind of make, okay, as if I'm the terrorist or what? Why do? So that disbelief, or you can see this trust, lack of trust can lead to what I said, no, radicalization, more radicalization. That is a kind of a complicated, delicate situation which you have to handle carefully. And that is the reason why we are speaking about this WAM policy, winning hearts and minds policy. So basically what, like this winning hearts and minds policy, mostly in the case of say Jammu and Kashmir and all, what used to happen? So once there is an, say, a violent attack, once there is a violent attack, immediately there will be a search and cordon operations. So after a terrorist attack, a violent attack, there will be a search and cordon operations. They'll start that very intensively. So as a result of that, they'll start screening the people. Screening of local population, whether they are part of it, whether they're responsible, whether they are also. You must have seen in movies, right? Once a kind of any mishap happens, you call them like who did that, like they have basic this inquiry and all. But the screening sometimes, you see, sometimes it can lead to positive ways. Positively, the population, at least they'll give information. The population might give information initially. And they will support the armed forces. But what happens in the meantime, but because of continuous this one, because of the harassment as well as hardship, so sometimes a continuous thing could lead to harassing as well as hardship to the people, which may make the people tire out. All right. Ultimately, what? Ultimately, now the people will refuse to answer, refuse to cooperate. So ultimately, they'll refuse the support as well as giving information. Refuse cooperation, basically. That is what. So it's because of these reasons. It is because of these reasons, that is the reason why. In the teams of civilian, in the time of peace, actually, the kind of, I said, be it armed forces or the army, they are involved in what is called as civic action programs. All right. So before coming to civic action programs, I'd like to say that, like, so what is the strategy in order to kind of stop this from happening? All right. So we have to prevent this from stopping. So there is an approach which is called as psychological dissuasion approach. Psychological so how to bring the people more cooperative enough, how to bring the people more supportive enough. So it is both sides. This psychological persuasion means, so persuading the people to support the armed forces, persuading the people to support the armed forces, at the same time deny support to the local militants. Deny support to the local militants. All right. Fine. So this is what exactly. So because of which what happened, it's basically a humane approach. This psychological dissuasion means it's a kind of an humane approach, wherein like you involve this human right or humane approach, wherein like you gel along with the people, the way they can easily attached, You speak about sympathy, empathy, emotional intelligence and all, right? In ethics, that is what. You sympathize with the people. Have empathy for the people. Like, no, when they feel bad for them. When they have that sadness, you fit into their shoes and know what exactly is the problem. That is what sympathy, empathy and all. Now, as a part of this only, so when I speak about VAM, right? So what exactly as a VAM, like VAM means you have to speak about the civic action programs also. So how this psychological dissuasion or persuasion of the people can happen, it is done through the civic action programs. So right now, please jot down what is this VAM. Please write down what is VAM. Under VAM, winning hearts and minds, write down. Under VAM, the troops are strictly educated under VAM, the troops are strictly educated and sensitized towards the aspect of human rights, sensitized towards the aspect of human rights and the need to befriend befriend the local people and gain their trust. And the need to befriend the local people and their trust. I repeat, under VAM, the troops are strictly educated and sensitized towards the aspect of human rights and the need to befriend the local police and gain their trust. All right, so yes, Chandramohan, what you said is right. Like, see, you see the operations like, so there is something which is happening in Kashmir, which is known as Operation Sadbhavana. The best example is Operation Sadbhavana. In Kashmir. All right. So how the interaction between armed forces, especially the youth and all. And you can take the case of Burhan Wani. I guess I mentioned about this person, Burhan Wani, before, right? Remember Burhan Wani? So after Burhan Wani, so he was inspiring a lot of youth people in Kashmir. So that is the reason why, like, army and other armed police forces, they are kind of more involving in this Operation Sadbhavana, so that, like, to prevent the youth from falling into the trap of, like, we have seen the case of Shamima Begum also. Similarly, Burhan Wani also. Burhan Wani of Hizbul Mujahideen commander. He had a lot of, you can say, followers in Kashmir. He was even more famous than the Lashkar-e-Toiba as well as Jaish-e-Mohammed separatists. Fine, that is what. Now, one more thing. So, what constitutes this VAM? So, this VAM has a lot of components, which is called as the civic action programs. All right. So, what are those components of civic action programs? You know that, like, I'll better write it as civic action programs. So, what is the civic action programs? The examples I can say. So, running a medical camp, conducting cultural activities, conducting sports event, conducting, you can say, sports, cultural activities, medical camps, and I can give you the examples of any other examples, recently if you have seen. Any other, you can say, generally recreational good, okay. Other recreational activities. Anything which recently which is done by Assam Rifles or anything which you came across? Okay, career guidance also, okay, good. That is also. So with respect to the employment, say that is about the skills actually, creating awareness and helping in the time of distress or disaster. This is a very important thing, disaster response. All right, so this is one thing. The disaster response is the most important thing. You see, I said like there was some video, see, some 3 to 4 years back, so 2 years back, I guess. There was flood in Karnataka and Maharashtra. So there was a video which was circulated in WhatsApp and all. So an NDRF personnel, he'll rescue a woman from the flooded area, and she'll touch the feet of that person actually. So that person will say that no, 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 you should not do that. That's kind of my duty, kind of thing. So he'll feel that. That is what, like, whenever there is a disaster, be it in the floods or be it in the kind of you can say any natural disasters or other things, like when they kind of rescued, so they kind of remain gratitude. So that sense of gratitude is there for the people. So that is the reason why these people are kind of specialized in that. Like, so in the civilian times, apart from like in the military times countering those people, like in the civilian times they used to engage, involve in this disaster, you can say response means like helping. All right, evacuation, it may be construction of building or temporary bridges or embankments. This is what, so this is how it's possibly fine. So that is what, like yes, Yasin Bhatkal, like you remember this Yasin Bhatkal, like he was caught in Nepal actually. So he, it's no matter like whether they're separatists or not, they'll be kind of when it is a matter of life, they'll be saved. Like it's not like, okay, Yasin Bhatkal being a kind of a militant, would you leave them flooded in the river? All right, it's not possible. Fine. So that is the reason. That's one good example, Chandrabhan. Fine. That is what. So this is what about civic action programs. Please write about civic action programs, people. Please write about it. Civic action programs. Write about it. What is the objective of civic action program? The objectives of civic action program. Number one, to promote security consciousness in border areas, to promote security consciousness in border areas by creating awareness among the masses, by creating awareness among the masses against the menace of terrorism, against the menace of terrorism and insurgency, against the menace of terrorism and insurgency. Second point, to integrate border population, to integrate border population into the national mainstream, by inculcating the feeling of national belonging, by inculcating the feeling of national belonging. I repeat, to integrate border population into national mainstream by inculcating the feeling of national belonging. Point number three, to build up the morale and capability, of the border population, against threats of subversion, comma, infiltration, against threats of subversion, comma, infiltration, and sabotage. 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 I repeat, to build up the morale and capability of the border population against threats of subversion, infiltration, and sabotage. All right. So that is what. So this is about these objectives actually. So you can include one more point also as a part of this sabotage mean and especially when I speak about Operation Sadbhavana, no? So you can say mm, to facilitate the youth in the socio-economic development of the region, or to nurture. You can write to nurture the youth of the border population, to nurture the youth of the border population in accommodating with the socio-economic development of the region. To accommodate with the socio-economic development of the region. So what is the meaning of sabotage? See, sabotage means, you can say, sabotage means overturning, destruction. Mostly used in, say, in military terms. It's called a sabotage, means like it's kind of destroying, as simple as that. Anything else, like you can Google it, no? The meaning like that. That's sabotage means destruction. You are turning it down, kind of thing. All right, so that is what. Fine. Okay, so these are the things actually. So we have done with the armed forces. So mostly they've asked this question indirectly last year. Last year they asked this question related to VAM policy. So how you deny local support to the local people, how to win the confidence of the people. They've asked this question. So I was expecting this question 3 years back, since 3 years, but they asked last year finally. So this is what, but this is again like I said, most of the topics we have covered is not part of current affairs, which is kind of traditional ones. The approach I said, like, so mostly you have to, it will be asked in either of these three things. All right, so it's not necessarily only for mains perspective. So that is the reason why, like, I've given the basic genesis of all those things. Fine. So that's it about the various security forces, agencies, and all. Now we have to go through the new topic. So write down a new topic today: role of media and social media. So please write down role of media and social media. We'll see one by one. First we'll start with role of so first we'll start with media, people. Right. So first we'll start with media, then we'll start with social media as such. Okay. So basically, for not much about media, they asked, just know the basics actually, then we can discuss about the other things. So with respect to media, so we're going to discuss about the importance of media and how media has impact on the security aspect. Fine. So first of all, what about the importance of media? What is your take on media right now, people? Like, so media is known to be what? The fourth pillar. Okay. Then what else you know? This is the first of the things they used to speak about it, right? Media is the fourth pillar of democracy. Is it not? Media is the fourth pillar of democracy. But I've given a lot of instances wherein, like, you see, there is a lot of criticism. Media is biased, media is mass audience reach. Okay, fine, a lot of things are there. Now, see, one such example I can give you, like, beginning with media, this is, you see, a lot of pictures like this have been shown actually. So how media, they can portray any extent. They can even portray those persons who is actually a murder can be kind of taken to be a victim also. So it's a way they can even change. That's what, like, they can manipulate, extrapolate the things actually. All right, so that is what. So to start with it, like I've said, the criticism with respect to, say, uh, what happened with respect to Abhinandan, or what happened with respect to Kulbhushan Jadhav and all. I guess I've given those examples. Is it not? Like, so in the case of Kulbhushan Jadhav, also in the case of Abhinandan, also, like how media kind of exposed those things. Fine. And this is one of the statement I'd like to know. Like, maybe you can take a screenshot also if you wanted. Like, okay, fine. So what is it? Now, this is one of the statement which was made by Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, the former Prime Minister of Singapore. All right. So the former Prime Minister of Singapore, like, he made a very emphatic statement which says that we allow American journalists in Singapore in order to report Singapore to their fellow countrymen, but we cannot allow them to assume a role in Singapore that an American media play in America. What is it the American media plays in America? The role of an invigilator, adversary, and inquisitor of the administration. Very nice statements. Very nice statements. You just report, like, your foreign media, you're coming to my country, you report about me, not an issue. You report about me in your country. Now, what you do in your country, you are being an invigilator. You decide what is right and wrong. You question the government. You speak negative about criticism also. Fine, let it be. You kind of inquire, inquisitor also. Fine, everything is fine. But the thing is that why you want to do that in our country? That is what happening in India also. We let other countries to determine or decide what is happening in India. I've seen, like, since, like, so I've had the habit of starting reading newspapers even during my college times also. All right. So since law was my subject, I used to see, like, so I have this habit almost more than 20 years. I can say that 15, 20 years. Now I've seen that, like, irrespective of the party and whichever party is in power, like, you see the external media since, like, the media from USA or the Western media, I mean, they used to criticize Indians actually. So Indians, again, like, they, with respect to their the way they treat women, the way they treat other people, they used to speak about discrimination. They speak about human rights, basically, most about human rights especially. Now I used to hate them, like, at least, like, I used to say them, like, when we're discussing these things only, it was when we were preparing. So once there was a kind of mock interview, I was discussing about that, like, at least in India, a person, if he or she kills, actually, he has a specific reason, maybe for revenge they kill. You see in America, a lot of times, suddenly if you open the papers, what will happen? These people, they'll go randomly shoot whoever comes on its way. One person from school, he'll be a kid, say 16 years, 18 years. He goes to the school with the pistol, he kills everyone who in the school, his fellow friends. Similarly, in the case of someone goes to a bar, kills everyone for no reasons. Now, that is the kind of, you can say, the mindset. And these people, they had, you can say, approved slavery, and now they speak about inequality here and all. So that is what, like, see, I'm not speaking about inequality doesn't exist here. There is caste system. There is, like, India also has its own set of negatives. No one is going to deny it. Is it possible for an Indian media to go and say what you should do? Is it possible for the Indian media to go and say what the Trump should do, what Biden should do? No, they won't let us. First, they won't listen to us. They won't let us inside the country to do all those activities, and then they won't listen to us also. That is the mentality I'm speaking about it here. Few years back, like, there was one thing. Yeah, I know that, like, let it be. Definitely Al Jazeera, CNN, I know these people. Except all these people, like, all these people I'm speaking about it, like Al Jazeera, CNN, BBC, all the foreign media I'm speaking about it. All right, so all the foreign media I'm speaking, irrespective of the party, like, I observed these things, like, they always criticize. Fine, now, one more thing is, you see, 3-4 years or maybe 4 years back, like, there was this Thomson Reuters, all right, Thomson Reuters, REUTERS, all right. So they made a kind of survey saying that India is the second unsafe place for women in the world. India is the second unsafe place for women in the world. Like, I asked these questions to our students that time. I said, like, why do you feel that? Yes, okay, fine. Now the survey, these comes, no? What is the basis of that survey? Some 500 people across the world, they were surveyed. Now the population of the world is how many? and how many women live in that country. So instead of asking the women or make a comparison, you ask some randomly 500 persons, so-called intellectuals, and they decide like India is an unsafe place. Now how bad that too they placed countries like African countries. You know the case of Boko Haram and all, right? You know the case of Boko Haram, they kind of kidnap and all. You see they have put like Pakistan also better than us. Pakistan and all the African countries. So that is what like these things they have always this vested interest actually. Fine, that is what. So when with respect to media, this is what they said like no, let you do this thing, but let us not like do the case of invigilator. That is what the statement is. Now starting with that, like first of all, even Supreme Court also, even the Supreme Court of India also, they have mentioned this one. After this 2008 Mumbai coverage, they mentioned this statement. By covering the attack live, I said no, this what happened? 2000 Mumbai attack, like they used to catch hold of all those people and then how many are there inside the room, and then they were live streaming that so that the terrorists went inside and killed. So what they said, by covering the attack live, the Indian TV channels were not serving any national interest or social cause. They were acting for their own commercial interest called TRP. Recently TRP scandal with respect to Republic, you know that, right? So that is what. So the own commercial interest putting national security in jeopardy. So you are giving more importance to your own commercial interest rather than national security as well as social cause. That is what the criticism. While hearing the case related to 2008 Mumbai attack, they mentioned it was an observation. It's not a kind of judgment. It was an observation of it. Yes, Mageshwar, like, but I don't wish to name any specific journalist here. Maybe I'll speak about the Indian media in a short while. I'll list out all those leftist medias, all those pro BJP, all those pro Congress, pro leftist. I'll list it down. Don't worry. There is no such month, no such secrecy. I followed that. I have a lot of such articles which shows it. I can pinpoint and say which media, which is a supporter of whom. It's not so difficult actually. Fine. Okay, that's what like this is what the kind of significance or kind of a warning to start with it. First of all, okay. So how media is affecting the security? So how media is affecting the security? I'll just give you the points only. Just mention the points because after which you can develop. I'll give you the examples. After which you study. We got to focus more on the social media part. Okay, fine. Next, first of the things is sensationalization. The sensationalism of news. The sensationalism of news. So what is the meaning of sensationalism? You see, like every time there is. So previously there used to be breaking news means maybe once in a day or twice in a day or sometimes. But you see every half an hour, 1 hour, everything has become a breaking news. So sensationalizing every news, even a common thing like you are kind of saying it is a breaking news. So you're kind of, that is what. This is the first thing actually. You never know which is important, which is not important. The people, especially the people who are beginning to see the news, they don't know first of all whether it is important or not important. So that is the first problem. Sensationalism. And the second one, is about inaccuracy in reporting. And the second one is about inaccuracy in reporting. So this is also, you see that they don't specifically say what exactly it is. Like a lot of false information, even like in the case of Hindu also, you see that lot many times they have like apologized for being the mistake. Lot of factual information. So like factual information is very easy, you can Google it. But first of all, they put that and then they make a mistake and then they used to correct it. Nowadays, there is a separate column for that. So inaccuracy in the sense like you see like again like the exact thing is not, scenario is not given actually. All based on, you see, there is, you speak about You speak about inaccuracy. I guess you understand about inaccuracy, right? No need to, because like I have to finish up this one, social media. So inaccuracy means what? Inaccuracy means like they're not giving the accurate information. They kind of, again, extrapolating things, more like sensationalism only. And the next one is about biased and partial. So what is the meaning of biased and partial? Like, you see, more than giving, like, you see, they kind of give facts, opinion. All right. So there is a difference between fact and opinion, is it not? So there is a difference between fact and opinion, is it not? But the thing is that they're giving more importance to the opinion. Like, so people should know that, like, what is this opinion as such? All right. But now, more than the opinion, now it is more based on speculations. Now the news is more based on speculations. You see, people, they lose jobs or they gain jobs, or even the kind of, like, right now, like there is you can see in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, you see elections happening, coalitions happening. Coalitions break because of speculations. They always keep that, right? Some unknown sources, or they use some reliable source. That unknown but reliable source says that this party and this party is going to make a coalition. This party is going to offer this many seats. All right, finally that coalition will break. So it's more today, more than facts, more than opinion. It's more based on speculations actually. All right. So when I speak about this biasness or partiality, you know, I speak about the second concept, which is again, all right, I speak about this paid news, right? So when paid news, like you speak about it, like that is always in India, you speak about this paid news concept, right? Especially if you see in the case of lot of channels, I said like left-leaning channels like NDTV is there. So right, you have Republic, you have ZTV, you have Times. These are kind of considered to be pro BJP. See NDTV, and there is the Wire, the Scroll. All right, you have this Caravan. All right, and on the side, like you have their own magazines. So these are kind of considered to be pro leftist actually. These are left leaning, these are right leaning. Now you see that I'm not speaking about the paid factor alone right now. So how in the sense paid is, I'm not speaking about the repeated things. What exactly happens here? You see, mostly these organizations, they kind of make a negative impact about Modi. So more than focusing on the positive aspects, they always speak about negative. Here they'll speak more negative against Rahul Gandhi or the leftist leaders. So today you see which one, like rather than speaking about the positive aspects, it is very easy to carry the negative aspects in the mind. No, that is the reason why you see every news channel, no, next 1 month you're going to see that, right? They'll always focus on the negative. Maybe, I don't know, most of the meme creators, they have become the news channel reporters. So it is not today, the vote is not taken on the case of, you can say, on the base of positive things which are done, but on the negative things only. So previously, paid news means what they used to do. So if at all I'm from, say, BJP, now I would like put only the positive picture of BJP in that news channel, and if it is anything negative, the other side. So similarly, the case of, see, these sort of things. So they will focus on all the negative things. Maybe 100 out of, say, 90 out of 100, you'll find all those things negative against Prime Minister. So similarly, here is also all those things against Rahul Gandhi. They make him as a clown or a comedian or whatever it is. This is exactly what I'm speaking about it. So negativity. So it's more about paid news also. And that too happens in the case of USA also. It's not just here. Like, have you heard this Cambridge Analytica scandal? In that USA also, the same thing happened. Fine. Like, a lot of things. I have left a lot of things. India Today, Quint, Hindustan Times. I don't want to if you know that, like, it's fine, people. It's fine. Good. Fine. Next is the glorification of terrorists. Here, when I speak about this glorification of terrorists, actually, so that is what I give this example of all those people, no? I've mentioned all those people, right? You see, like people don't know about this person Aurangzeb. People, have you mentioned about Aurangzeb? Did you go and find Aurangzeb, that one, the person with beard? Aurangzeb and Burhan Wani, remember that person? No. Aurangzeb, I said, like he was the one who sacrificed his life. Already, who has sacrificed his life as a martyr. All right, as a martyr. But in this case, Burhan Wani was a Hizbul Mujahideen leader. All right, commander of Hizbul Mujahideen. The difference is both people were from Kashmir Valley, but one chose to fight against India, but one chose to fight for India. All right, so that is what the differences are. So you always glorify. I said one of the reasons, like why you people answered about Afzal Guru, but what not about Kamlesh Kumari? Why so many people know about Osama bin Laden, not about Afzal Guru? Why so many people know about Ajmal Kasab, not about Sandeep Unnikrishnan? The person who is responsible for Mumbai attack, Ajmal Kasab, everyone knows that. The person who is martyred NSG, Sandeep Unnikrishnan, not many. So you glorify violence, terrorists, and then you put the blame on the people or the government as such. So that is what. So news, they should first of all stop glorifying the violence. This is one of the important factors which is affecting the security as such. The glorification of violence. And next is intrusion of privacy. Intrusion of privacy. So intrusion of privacy means, you see, every time you know about sting operations, right? So a lot of sting operations happen, especially this vote for cash scheme, vote for questions. All right, in order to get questions, in order to speak about the specific issue. All right, and a lot of, we can see some of the personal videos of recently one minister from Karnataka also was he resigned that. Like you see a lot of such cases actually. The thing is that like so now intrusion of in someone's private life actually. So the sting operations, we have heard only few operations. There are hundreds of such unknown operations. The moment the sting operation is done, that the specific person is caught, they won't put it in the public trial. They won't put it in the public to determine whether it's right or wrong. First of all, what they'll do, they go and speak, okay, I have a video of it. If you give money, I'll give the copy to you. If you don't, I'll release it. This is what, no? You must have seen in movies. So then how it will be kind of justified actually? How we can take this as a social cost? So mostly it is kind of intrusion of privacy. As long as they're in the public with respect to say corruption in public affairs, they have every right. But the thing is that stepping into someone's private life, this is also so many happens, so much time happens. All right, so I'm not speaking about the specific thing, but generally speaking, these are some of things which are kind of positively done. At the same time, there is a kind of a limit wherein you cannot go into that. Fine, that is what. This is one thing. And the biggest of problem of all this is media trial. The biggest problem of all is media trial or the trial by media. The trial by media. What is this trial by media, people? What is the meaning of this trial by media? So media takes the case of, like you can say there are so many such cases. The recent case of Sushant Singh Rajput. There are so many cases wherein the media themselves, they consider to be the judge, and then they want to decide, or they decide who is wrong and who is right. No, there is a fantastic movie called 375. No, 375, 376. Like I don't remember that. That is a case. It is related to a rape case. It's a very fantastic movie. It was in Hindi actually. Fine. You see that media. It presumes that any person who is of official character or who is of a wealthy person, who is of a son of a minister, he is presumed to be guilty. The moment he commits anything, no matter, even before the inquiry, they'll decide this person has committed the crime. So instead of letting the trial to happen in the judiciary, they take and they decide. No, that is what no the one Ranjit Malani, no, he's passed away. Ranjit Malani once he scolded. He said like, if you have evidence, produce in the court. No, don't say decide in the rooms or in your own thing. If you have evidence, you go and submit in the courts. That is what there is so many cases. The case of Jessica Lal. There was a movie on that also. Lot of cases were there. Like so, media has brought other side like Arushi Talwar's case. All right. So even before it is decided whether they've committed the wrong or not, the persons who are accused, they kind of kill actually out of this. All right. So these are some of things. All right. So media trail is another one thing which is kind of problematic. You have to focus on. So these are things. So based on the issues, you can give the solutions. All right. So based on these things. Fine. So these are some of things which are kind of problematic. And when we speak about media regulations, all right. So how you have to focus on media regulations means media. First of all, there is no proper regulatory body. All right. So first of all, you have something called Press Council of India. Press Council of India, but press is not for. It is for printed media. All right. This is for printed media. And apart from that, apart from this printed media, you have national. Just a minute. You have something called National Broadcasting Standards Authority, NBSA. You have something called what? Not national or news. Sorry. Just a minute, people. So you have something called News Broadcasting Standards Authority. All right. So you have such media regulations, but you see, mostly media is going for what is known as self-regulation only. All right. There is no clear mechanism. All you have is guidelines only. All you have is guidelines only. Authorities, these are there, but they are kind of issuing guidelines or regulations, but you don't have something to curb, because it's always like whenever someone is trying to do that, so there is always this freedom of speech and expression, no? Because freedom of press is part of freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech is part of freedom of speech and expression. That is the reason why mostly you see that like all these things, like be the Press Council of India or the News Broadcasting Standards Authority, they are also kind of a toothless tiger only. They can just specify the guidelines and regulations only. They don't have any authority to take a concrete action on these people. All right, so that is what. So these are the things actually fine. So one more thing I would like to conclude with this one. Like even this is also one of the statements which was made in the 2008 Mumbai terror attack. You see what the Supreme Court said, observed, it is in such extreme cases that the credibility of an institution is tested, like the media here. The coverage of Mumbai terror attack by the mainstream electronic media has done much harm. It has done much harm to the argument that any regulatory mechanism for the media must only come from within. So what is the meaning? Any regulatory mechanism for the media must only come within means media always. So media, I said, like I always said this, media and judiciary, they'll criticize about everyone. But when you speak about how to regulate the judiciary or how to regulate the media, they'll say, no, you should not regulate us because the independency will be lost. India is a democracy. There should not be any regulation on judiciary. There should not be any regulation on media. But when you speak about self-regulation, this is what? It's very difficult to access in India. Now, that is the reason why you see people like, I'll come to the next aspect. We'll study the impact of media in social media. I'll speak about it. All right. So we'll have a break. So after that, so this is what, you prepare, the other points I'll give you as a part of social media. We'll come after the break. We'll meet after the break. This one, people. So new, okay, Helen, like you asked me about the IT rules, no? So the new IT rules, like it's more about intermediaries actually. So it gives like more, you can say, restrictions for the intermediaries as such. Like I'll discuss about that, because with respect to the new IT rules, that component will study. Like I'll be taking not you for you separately. I'll be posting a video regarding this one for commonly. All right, so I'll cover all those dimensions. Um, Mostly, I don't know how it is going to be applied. Like, so there are certain provisions which is going to be problematic. All right, but still, you see to what extent you can, you can bring the liability upon the intermediaries. It is based on how much the infrastructure which is lying within India. All right, so as long as the jurisdiction is outside India, as long as there are servers outside India, it's very difficult to put them or bring the liability. All right, so that is one problem. So we'll discuss about that also, the new IT rules with respect to social media only. You're speaking about it, right? When it was released recently, and that is what. So we'll discuss that also. All right. Now we'll start with this part. So people like so the next one we're going to speak about social media, which is kind of more problematic with respect to social media. All right. So social media we'll start with. So what is the definition of social media? What is the difference between social media and social network? Are both different or the same thing? And what is the role of social media on the positive note also? I'm going to speak about the role which is played here, because it has become indispensable. It is very difficult to survive without social media. So it has become a part of governance, part of business, part of people. And next is about the threats actually. So this is what sort of threats it kind of creates. What is an impact on the individual? What is the impact on the society? How the non-state violent actors use it? How the non-state other actors, not a violent actor, how the non-state actors, other people, they use it, the companies, they use it, and the challenges regarding this one. So what are the challenges in order to regulate or to control or to restrict the social media, creating awareness, problems, all those things, and lastly the solutions to prevent such misuse or the impact on security. Fine, so we'll start with that. Now one will start with it. First of all, can you just tell me approximately, so recently in that IT rules only, the IT rules which when they the government which they said, like they brought out this numbers actually. So can you estimate the amount of users actually? So government came up with a rough estimate based on the data which is provided by a few groups actually. All right. No, we'll discuss that, Chandramohan. Why can't we India make up legislations, like, because India is a democracy? It's in a democracy. It's so difficult because like there is a possible state surveillance also, privacy issues. I'll come to that. No, you see the number of estimate of that. Like, can you guess how much WhatsApp uses India approximately? As per the numbers, I'm going to take the numbers. Yes, Australia. No, I'm not. I'm not saying other countries not. Like I'll come to that. I'm speaking about India as a kind of democracy. It's a different kind of democracy. I mean, largest democracy. I'll come to the democracy definition. Fine. So it is okay. Someone got it right. I don't know whether they got it from where. Like maybe they've got it right, very right. It's the government says it is 53 crores. 53 crores WhatsApp users. All right. And with respect to YouTube, it's 45 crores. All right. Okay, it was in the newspaper last week. That's what. And with respect to Facebook, it was 41. And with respect to Instagram, it was 21 crores. I guess only the Twitter is very less. It's in the single digit, 1.75. I guess it's a very less in numbers actually. I don't know why, like, but I'm so much active being in passive listener in Twitter, like so. All right, so I never thought Facebook would come so far away. When I joined Facebook, I guess it was in 2006 or 7. So all they used to do is something like it was not so popular that time, 2006 7 and all. But right now you see, like that time it was something called Orkut. I don't know how many people know about Orkut. There was a community called Orkut. Like, so we used to discuss about IAS and Orkut only, but not here. But things have changed. Maybe it's a kind of a generation change right now. You see that. So next week, we're never going to know what comes next and all. Fine. These are some of the things. So what I'm going to try to convey that is, you see, the impact is this one. You always see this advertisement saying that data is the new oil. You also seen those advertisements in YouTube. Data is the new oil. So data is more important. It is the way to make money. It is in fact like they used to, I don't know why they made it as data mining, data analytics, the big data analytics. So now they create a lot of money by selling your data. The person who is like today, the one person who's rich enough, or those persons who has the data of most of the persons, fine, that is what you see. This is what it was mentioned in 2017, the economist paper. Data or this 2nd century is what oil was to the last one. You see how things changed. The entire you can say the economy of Middle East, especially after the striking oil in the Middle East, how that changed. The entire geography of that region changed similarly. So that how oil was to last century, data is to this century. It will be the driver of growth and change. All right. So it will create new infrastructure, new businesses, new monopolies also. That is also a bad thing. New monopolies and new politics. New monopoly means one company kind of having a stronghold. All right. So that is what. So this is what the significance of data. Data means like more the number of people. That is the reason why any country's prime minister or any country's president, like why they invite Zuckerberg, and then like they used to invite him, host him, and then they speak about it. All right, so that is the reason why data, because most of the data you see, be it in Facebook and WhatsApp, a combination, as well as YouTube users. So they're afraid of them. Actually, they're kind of more influential than anyone. All right, and I guess you know about this Cambridge Analytica scandal also. Fine, I'll discuss about that. Now, what is the meaning of the social media actually? All right, so social media, first of all, that is a kind of problem. So first of all, from media to social media, and there is a thing called social network. So there is a lot of confusion regarding these things. So there is a confusion regarding these things. All right. So some people say that like there is a kind of link actually, and some people say now social media and social networking sites are the same, one and same only. So for a better understanding, you see the Western, I could find pictures like this one. All right, pictures like this one. You see, mass media was there at one point of time, like newspapers, magazines. It was conveying the message to the mass audiences. One-way communication. It was a one-way communication. And here, peer-to-peer communication means communication within a group or individuals. I can communicate to you, you can communicate to me. That is what peer-to-peer communication. So here it was mass media because like the newspapers could say, but you can't say what is right and what is wrong. But here in this case, it was other side. Like, so this was the traditional peer-to-peer communication. This was the traditional mass media. Now, the social networking sites only later on become social media. It's a combination of both the things. Now what you become? You become the source. You became the creator. You became the sharer of this information, and you can listen to that also. You can disseminate, you can share, you can create the content. All right. At the same time, you can get the content also. This is what. So this is what basically you can say a combination of peer-to-peer as well as mass media. So this is what they say. But now there is a kind of subtle difference. Like I'll speak about the difference actually. So some people say that social media is a one-way communication. Some people still say that social media is it's a one-way street wherein you communicate and transmit information to a wider audience. But whereas these people, they consider social networking sites to be an act of engagement, between like-minded people, like-minded groups, and like-minded communities. This is a kind of a subtle difference. They used to say that, like, this is the difference. So networking means it's a network of friends, family, or a like-minded group, wherein media is still a media thing, like where is one-way communication only. That is what they're saying. But you see this transition or this kind of distinction is, it is watered down. It's not no more. It's more merged today. So today it is interchangeably used. Like you see, this traditional or definition of social media, traditional means like what it was there 5 to 10 years, like it was not kind of suitable today. As for today's definition is, as far as the today's definition, I'm going to refer to the definition which is given by the recent social media policy guidelines of 2020. All right. So as per, write down, as per the social media guidelines, policy guidelines of 2020, the social media policy guidelines of 2020, a social media platform is defined as, a social media platform is defined as a web-based and mobile-based internet application a web-based and mobile-based internet application that allows the creation access and exchange of user generated content in the form of text, audiovisual, graphics, animation, or any other form prescribed by Bureau of Outreach Communication. Any other form prescribed by Bureau of Outreach Communication. That comes under the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, MIB. All right, so go home and say, and after the class, please do find out like what is this Bureau of Outreach Communication of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. So that is a possibility. They can ask in prelims also. All right, that is a possibility they can ask prelims. So please go through that Bureau of Outreach Communication. I'll repeat. A social media is a platform which is defined as a web-based and mobile-based. It includes both web-based and mobile-based internet application that allows the creation, access, and exchange of user-generated content in the form of text, audiovisual, graphics, animation, or any other form prescribed by the Bureau of Outreach Communication of MIB, Ministry of Information Broadcasting. So what is it right today? Today, if you see, as per this definition and other things, like it's see, social media is equal to social networking. Both same thing only. Today's definition of social media includes or equals to the social networking, like what is it? It may be Twitter, it may be Facebook, etc. All those things. So all those things fall under what? Instagram, all those things fall under the social media. This is what the definition of social media. Fine. The next one. What is the role of social media? So social media has a role to play. You see, it has made the connections between the government or the transactions between the government the business and the public. All the transactions between, maybe you take case of public and government, or between public and the business activity, commercial, e-commerce, or between government and business activities. You speak about e-tenders. So everything is becoming online. So everything is becoming, you can see it is the cyber security as well as social media. Most of the communication now, it happens through that, like the contact, I mean. I'm speaking about communication. It's more it happens in the form of cyber security, more with respect to communication networks, but it also applies in the case of social media also. So there is a lot of interaction. So there is a lot of interaction among these people. There is a huge interaction between these people. Now we'll see one by one how it affects it. We'll see one by one like what exactly the role played by social media specifically. The first one, we're going to speak about the governance aspect. What is the role of social media from the governance aspect, under which we're going to speak about the first thing, participative governance. So participative governance means what? Like, you see, people right now, you take the examples of, like, especially in the PMO's office. You see, related to smart city or related to any new schemes. So naming of new schemes, giving suggestions. All right. So what, if it is in your city, if it is coming, what are the priorities? All right. Which are the things which have problem? So a lot of interaction happens, even from naming a specific scheme, even from giving priority to a specific area, problem, grievances, all those things. It is what is called as participative governance. More than right now, it is a democracy. You have represented, but at the same time, a lot of other states also have such things. A lot of other states also have such facilities so that you can interact with the specific ministers or the chief ministers. So that is what more participative in nature it is there, number one. All right, governance aspect. Point number two, it helps in direct interaction with the government. It helps in what? The direct interaction with government. I can give you a lot of examples. See, I'm not discussing with the state specific, because you see, like, since like most of you people here are like outside Tamil Nadu, so that is the reason why I'm giving examples of pan India. And one such example, like, you see, when in the case of Ministry of External Affairs. All right. Ministry of External Affairs, like, even at the time of Sushma Swaraj, actually, especially when there was so much of problem happened in the Middle East. All right. So problem happened in the Middle East, as well as one case in Pakistan. You go and see, whenever there is a request put in Twitter handle of MEA, Ministry of External Affairs, they'll respond immediately. If at all you see a woman from Kerala, she says that my son is kind of like maybe he's kind of exploited by the boss in Middle East. Or if there is a Pakistani woman who said, like, my son is languishing in jail. There are so many cases. In such case, there is a kind of immediate response. Even presently, the case of Jay Shankar also. Or you can follow Mr. Syed Akbaruddin's. Like, you must follow that the Twitter handle of Syed Akbaruddin. You know, who is Syed Akbaruddin? You know that person? Syed Akbaruddin. Like, you must see his attitude, like the kind of gestures and the body language. It's so positive. He can be right now. No, okay, fine. That is what, like, governance. Did you miss something? No, India's representative. No. India's UN ambassador or representative. That is what. So this is what. So first of all, participative governance, wherein you suggest, prioritize, as well as you just tell about your grievances. At the same time, here also grievance redressal mechanism only. But more than governance, it's about direct interaction, where you speak about the problems as such. Understand? This is what. And the next one is, write down under the governance, the third, democratization of information. Democratization of information. Now, what I speak about it, why with respect to governance, I speak about this democratization of information. Like you see, here the information from the government, like you can cross check that. You can cross check whatever the information given directly. If you ever handle PIB, you see, first of all, the news come to PIB. Those days, you have to follow, verify, say for instance, it is from the Hindu or other newspapers. So the ministerial releases, they never used to come out in online. So that used to be released, and based on the release only, the newspapers will give out report. Now, if there is any discrepancy, you can straight away follow the Press Information Bureau and cross-check what exactly is the exact information. Now you have the primary source. You have the primary source right now. You can go and cross-check it, or you can directly see what exactly, rather than the opinion. If you want to know what exactly the facts, you can get it from that. Understand? You can bypass the traditional systems wherein you got to go through that, like, and you can bypass that. That is what called as what? The democratization of information, or else the same thing only. Countering the hegemony. Now, what is countering the hegemony means again? Like I said, there are so many newspapers and news channels which are kind of justifying the actions of the government. There are so many newspapers which are kind of criticizing the actions. Now you can cross check it. You see, like with respect to farmers' protests, maybe you have a lot of newspapers, but you have a lot of social media handle which speaks about the pros and cons. Is it not? Now, apart from that, like apart from the traditional players, now you have all those things, like you want to know about it, like you can know about it. So that is the reason why. So previously, you have seen it, I guess, if you're like, if you got a lot of movies, in a lot of movies, the villain would say that, like, see, the next day news is determined by me. Whatever I give, that is the news. I can make one person a hero or a zero or even a villain. That depends on me, which should come in the first page, which should come in the last page. But right now, it cannot. Like right now, anything can happen. It's a matter of minutes. It's such fast in the social media. So you can if those traditional players can be bypassed, and then you can counter those hegemony, the control. That is what the meaning is. So these are the ways in which you can it's kind of impacting the governance aspect. So not blindly accepting what the government says, or not criticizing the government as it says. You have an option to get to know the reality, the pros and cons as such. Next, point number 2. How it has kind of played a role in business. How social media plays a role in business. Number 1, social media has created new opportunities. A lot of people made billions of money by becoming YouTube. No, people, once they complete engineers, they used to go, and then they made a lot of money, especially because of the Geo revolution. They have a lot of millions of subscribers, and then they used to generate, like, so it's a use. So a lot of new opportunities of business, first of all, number 1. And number 2, it is effective enough with respect to business. It is effective in the case of cost and marketing. Social media is the best tool because it is cheaper, cost effective, and it is an easy way of marketing. You can easily sell your product. Is it not? There is always, you see, I even remember like some persons asking, like, maybe since we are discussing in an academy, you see there is a kind of a discussion going on or a debate going on, which academy has the maximum, and based on which also people do fight actually. The thing is that there is possibility you can pay, and then you can increase or decrease the subscribers. That is like, there is things like that. But the thing is that even that also matters the most. Like, okay, since because of a specific academy has a lot of followers, maybe that might be good. You have the tendency, right? How many people go and eat because of Google review, or review which is given by, again, social media YouTubers, so many these foodies. All right, so that is, it's an easy and effective way of marketing. Lot of marketing have happened. You see, like, again, these people, I know so many few foodies who are doing in Tamil and other languages. They get money to promote others. They used to say, this is fantastic, this food is very cheap, fantastic. But the thing is that they'll get the money and then they do it. Only if you provide money. So if at all you want your hotel or some roadside food to be become the next video of him or her, you have to pay some 1 lakh. You have to book a flight ticket for him. He has to come and we have to give him 1 lakh for promoting that. He'll say, oh, it's such a fantastic, you should come and visit, for saying that. So that is what you see, like it has become an effective way for marketing. That also this is happening. The first point, what is the first point? That I said I had new opportunities. Social media has created new opportunities. A lot of meme makers, I can say, meme creators, I mean, YouTubers and meme creators. Fine. Next one, the third point under business. The third point under business. Right on. It has a wider reach and heterogeneous reach. A lot of examples, Chandramohan. Okay, fine. So it has a wider as well as heterogeneous reach. Again, like here it is, I'm not confined to a specific geography. I'm not specific to a confined medium. If I put in maybe an outside poster, maybe in my locality only. If I put in news, TV media, again only specifically. But I can have a target audience beyond the geographical borders, beyond the cultural barriers, beyond the linguistic barriers, everything. So that is how. So social media breaks everything, and it has become more prospective in the case of business by bringing a wider reach as well as heterogeneous community. All right, so this is what. Understood? And the next one, we're going to see how it affects the people, or how it is beneficial to the people. How it is beneficial to the people. All right. So it bridges the gap, means like it has become like, you see, relationship actually. I did not mention like a lot of things like Tinder, a lot of such things are there. Like you see, they make friendship the very day. All right. Even with respect to family also, family, they're easily connected, like especially in the times of, you see, corona, like people were connected mostly because of WhatsApp call and other things. So social media is kind of bridging the gap which existed in the previous days, like people working far away, or like family, it may be I mean son and their parents, so the distance and that thing is closing actually. That is what I said, like it has created a kind of support. Or so these are the some positive factors. Why I said about this positive factors means how it is related to security means now you have become more dependent on it. So now it is without social media, it's something like you cannot like survive kind of thing. So that is what. So this is what the significance. But now I'm going to speak about the negative aspects. Now completely having said about these positive aspects, now I'm going to discuss about the negative aspects. We'll start with that. So what are the threats related to social media? What are the threats related to social media? We'll start with one by one. So here is where like the problems, and then I'll give you the definitions also. So threats we are going to discuss from 4 aspects, like how means threats we are going to speak from one is from how it is impacting the individuals as and how it is affecting the society thereafter, and how it affects the non-state actors, especially the violent non-state actors. So how it is going to affect, we're going to see that. So we'll start with that. We'll start with the individuals. No, that's very difficult. I know that, like it's very difficult to manage WhatsApp groups also, lot of forwards. I know, like we'll come to that, definitely. Okay, first one, threats with respect to individuals. So first one is filter bubbles. Write about filter bubbles. Write about this called filter bubbles. How it impacts the individual. Filter bubbles means a situation in which, write down filter bubbles, a situation in which an internet user, encounters only information and opinions that conform, CONFORM, that conform to and reinforce, that conform to and reinforce their own beliefs caused by algorithms, ALGORITHMS, algorithms that personalize an individual's online experience. That personalize an individual's online experience. I repeat, it is a situation in which an internet user encounters only information and opinions that conform to and reinforce their own beliefs caused by algorithms that personalize individuals' online experience. You see, the simple thing, like you see, whenever you go to YouTube and see that, like YouTube has this recommended videos, right? And similarly in Facebook you have newsfeed. So these are based on, or you can say, the friends you may know, or friends you may know each other, or the pages you may like. All right. And you see, like, you first of all, like, shopping in Amazon, you kind of watching a surfing and browsing through a shop or bag, and then you go to IRCTC website trying to book a train. In that you see that, like, the specific bag which you saw, or the shoe which you saw there, you say it is kind of reduced 30% off in that. Like, that is what, so that is what, like, based on your browsing in online content, this is about the news, like everything. So the data analytics is taken and it is given. This is an example. So filter bubble means, so whatever you like only, now it start, no, now it won't speak about. For instance, if at all you're specifically following specifically Adidas company, so normally it will focus on the Adidas only. Even if there is other offers, they won't actually. So that is what, so they'll get to know that, okay, you are looking for Adidas only. So wherever you go, they keep on looking into that. Suddenly their price will drop, and then they'll focus that part alone. So, but as far as this thing is fine, but how it affects the news, that is more important. I'll come to another concept also, after which, like, I'll make a comparison. First is filter bubbles, and second one, please write down. Second one, please write down. Echo chambers. Echo chambers. It is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions. It is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own. So that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. I repeat, it is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs and opinions that coincide with their own, so that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. Now, I guess this is very much familiar. Echo chambers, most of your WhatsApp group, there'll be echo chambers. They don't have that intolerance or scare tolerance. I mean, I know most of you people right now online, if I ask you, like, no, I don't know how many of you have the tolerance patience. Like, if at all I want to get to know about your own political affiliation, or the person who hate, or the person who knows, like, I'll post you a kind of a meme or a video mocking Modi, Rahul Gandhi, or again Didi is there, like all those people. Like if it is from Tamil Nadu, I can know all those Seeman, Kamalas, and all those people, including Stalin, EPS, OPS, and all. The thing is that people laugh about other persons, but when it is they kind of affiliated to a specific party, they'll feel offended and they'll start justifying, no, what you did is wrong. And suddenly, what you see in a lot of WhatsApp group, what happens now? At one point of time, everyone starts believing whatever he said is right. So basically, this echo chambers means, it's the best example I can give it to you. You see what happens if there is a kind of if a politician goes for an interview or a kind of a program right now being held, they'll always take their supporters with them. And the thing is that when they're kind of saying something in a debate, if these people they clap actually, if the people they clap means, people tend to thought, okay, so people are accepting what he said. That is the true thing. The thing is that, but what is the reality? The reality is that I have taken, maybe I may be the politician, so I have taken all my supporters to come. See, today I have a debate there. All you people come, whatever I say, you please clap. But for others who are neutral persons, for others who are staying outside, who are watching the TV, believe that, okay, whatever he said is right only, he's having the vigil of the majority kind of thing. So that is what called as echo chambers. And that's why I said, like, this you'll find it in a lot of WhatsApp groups, you'll be fed up. Why this person is always like, some people getting left because of it, they're unable to take it sometimes. All right, so that is called as echo chambers. Third is homophily. Now, all these phenomena, you have experienced that one. That is what? Homophily. Right, and what is homophily? It is the tendency of the people, to seek out, the tendency of the people to seek out, SWE key, seek out or be attracted who are similar to them, in characteristics such as socioeconomic status, values, beliefs, attitudes, etc. So it is a tendency of the people to seek out or be attracted who are similar to them in characteristics such as socioeconomic status, values, beliefs, or attitudes, etc. That includes the likes and dislikes. Like, if I want to tell you the best example for homophily, I don't know how many of you are married or looking for a matrimony. I have my experience to say that in homophily. The moment you're looking for a bride or a bridegroom, they'll first of all find out what is your social media ID. It may be Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn ID, anything. But I did not have one because I had one. Because I was preparing, I found it to be disturbing. Like, I had a fake ID so as to follow specific things. So I had to deactivate my ID. So what people started feeling that, like, okay, he's something like he is not socializing person. Like, okay, how would we kind of marry? So the thing is that you'll decide first of all. So previously, like, you see, they go and speak out and then discuss about it, like maybe the family or again the persons themselves. Right now, so they'll find out the page of it, right? So what you like, what are the pages, and what are the pages I like. This is the bride and the bridegroom, the prospective I'm speaking about it. All right. Now they used to find out, like, what are the common things. You like it, I like it. Maybe if at all, say, for instance, they are two different, maybe a supporter of one is maybe a BJP and another is Congress, or another is a left and another is a Congress. So maybe like, no connection. That moment is disconnection, right? So that is what you see. This is what homophily is, something like you are kind of, now you become in a closed environment. You see all these impact. Like, a simple example is, all these examples, what I would like to mention is, it has led to what is a polarization. So all this has led to what? the polarization of society. You become intolerant, you believe whatever it is there in newspapers, whatever coming in the social media. All right, so the entire social media polarizes you. You are not even accepting others' views. That is what I spoke about, intolerant actually. Fine, this is how it happens. You see, today most of us are intolerant because of social media. We are unable to accept others' ideas. Fine, this is what, and definitely fine. So these are something which impacts the individuals. All right, these three terms, understood these three terms, people? So that is what, like, okay, life was so peaceful before social media. Fine, so now can you give up your social media IDs and all? That's not possible. Fine, next is about the threats to the society. Please write down the threats to the society. So number one, the fake news. Most of us know about fake news actually. All right, you see, there is a kind of difference or a kind of comparison which we can make with respect to fake news, and the second is rumor mongering. These two words often in news, the fake news as such, as well as rumor mongerings. Now what exactly these two things actually? So there is a subtle difference between these two things. One is with respect to fake news. The one is with respect to fake news. Fake news, you can say that it can be said to be a misinformation, or you can say it is done with an intention. It is intentionally fabricated. So it is done with a purpose. It is done with a purpose. That is what the meaning is. All right. But whereas the paper, in the case of rumor mongerings, it is said it is unverified and doubtful. It is an unverified and doubtful information which is passed on without the intention to mislead. So in rumor mongering, basically there is no intention to mislead. In rumor mongering, there is no kind of intention to mislead as such. So that is a kind of difference. But you see, rumors as such, it's spread like not specifically, but sometimes rumors are spread deliberately also. But I don't know, this is what the difference is. Sometimes they used to make it actually. So fake news is a pedal, like definite, it's a lie. It's the intention. It's the intention, like they want to do that. All right, fake news. A lot of fake news are there. Like I need not give examples for rumor mongering and fake news. All right, but the problem is, be it rumor mongering, be it fake news, like I would like to give a lot of examples, but what is the impact of these things? See, the moment is like how the fake news are used actually. The moment it is used, like it is there, like you see, when there is information which is posted nowadays in Facebook, you see that if you don't forward it, so no, sorry, if you are not a true Indian, sorry, I'm sorry. If you are a true Indian, forward it. If you are a true Tamilan, forward it. No, put that emotional thing. Because if you don't forward it, you are not Tamil, you are not an Indian, right? And that is what, like, you see in say 10 years, 15 years back and all, we used to get the messages and mails like okay, fine, that'll be, they'll say that the specific mantra, if you don't recite this mantra, you will fail in the examination. All right. So now we'll be coming out of the lift, or what if they'll say, like, if you don't do that, something bad will happen. Maybe like you'll be going in the lift and suddenly see that message, like if you don't repeat, like, if you don't reset it, what will happen? Maybe like the lift will close. Those sort of things, like it's all created. Like, first of all, we don't have time for verifying the information, right? So that is how misused actually. So what this fake news and rumor mongering has led to, the biggest problem is mob lynching. So the biggest impact of this fake news and rumor mongering is it has led to what is mob lynching. So mob lynching, I'll give you a lot of examples. All right. So mob lynching because of cow vigilantism. which has happened, and in the name of, say, kidnappers, people suspected of the kidnappers, people suspected to be illegal migrants, all right. So these are some of the things. People suspected to have been criminals generally. So these are some of the examples in India. You have a lot of cases. The cow vigilantism, the case of Aklak, the case that is in the Dadri lynching, the case of kidnappers, the case which happened in Tiruvannamalai in Tamil Nadu. So one person, like you see this case, one family along with a elder woman, so more than 60 years. So she came and she asked for a what is it, like address. Now while asking the address, she gave a couple of chocolates to the children. Suddenly what, a group of people gathered, some more than 40-50 people, they beaten the lady to death. They beaten the lady to the death. If asked like what exactly happened after this police went and made an inquiry after arresting those persons, there was a WhatsApp forward that like there is a rampant kidnapping going on. So in the name of like asking address, they used to give the chocolates by which they kidnap the kids. So even without verifying. So why it is called as mob lynching? Because the mob take the law in their own hands. So in the name of suspected cow theft, actually, so they are taking cow, they're the cattle thieves. So suspecting to be cattle thieves, they are kind of killing them. Meaning what? Like what you are supposed to do? You are supposed to hand over them to the police, not. If you have a suspicion towards a specific person, you have to hand over them to the police, not. And with respect to illegal migrants, or there is one classic case which happened in Nagaland in 2015. This is one of the most brutal form. Nagaland, I know this is a place which is known for headhunting and all, right? You know that, like the tribes of Nagaland. What happened? In 2015, one person, he suspected to be an illegal Bangladeshi migrant. So he had a kind of relationship with a girl, and that girl, they said it's a rape, and then so he was arrested and put in jail. Now the information spread in the social media like anything. So an illegal Bangladeshi migrant has raped our ethnic girl, one more girl with a forward. Now what these people did? So the youth students, because of this inciting, like suddenly more than 100 people, 200 people, they went into the jail. All right, they kind of you can say hit all the security personnel, and they pulled out that very specific person, and they paraded him naked, and then they killed him. They lynched actually in the public. This happened, but you see again, Naga tribal society, like the thing is that case is kind of, they couldn't do anything as such, like kind of terrorist. I don't know what exactly happened. That was one can say heart wrenching thing. Whether that may be person may be rapist, it might be true also. That might be an illegal migrant also. But the thing is that like persons taking law in their own hands. The recent case in Maharashtra also, Palghar case. Two sadhus considered to be the kind of theft, like thieves, they were kind of killed by the people in Maharashtra. So a lot of cases are there, like cow vigilantism. A lot of cases I know. Dadri case, I said like case in Rajasthan. There is a case in Jharkhand. A lot of such cases. So this is what mob lynching is. So when I speak about this rumor mongering, so I would like to mention one more thing also. Maybe the example of what happened, the 2013 Assam Exodus, 2012, the Assam Exodus. So this is not a mob lynching actually. This is maybe you can reason. This is not a mob lynching, but this is kind of a very best example for rumor mongering or fake news or rumor mongering. The 2012 Assam Exodus. What happened in 2012? There was a problem between the Bodo tribes versus the illegal migrants. Mostly the illegal migrants were from Bangladesh, and mostly they are from Muslims community. So what happened? There was a video which circulated, which happened in Pakistan. They circulated that if you Muslim men are killing the other people, so they circulated that the Muslim men are killing Bodos. They circulated that video in Bangalore and other parts, southern part of India. So that is the reason why a lot of northeast people who are working in Bangalore and other parts, they left to Assam. That is called as the mass exodus actually. Similarly, in the 2013 Muzaffar Nagar riots actually. What happened in Uttar Pradesh in 2013 also, a video which was there in originally in Pakistan, it was said to be in India. So that created a lot of violence in here. This is where like social media more than used, it's more misused. We'll discuss about these things. Mob lynching, the definition of mob lynching, what happened to the case of Manipur, and what exactly the Supreme Court guidelines, the definition part we'll see tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow. Most probably I'll try to take tomorrow. I guess I need one more sessions to complete to give this cyber security also. Most probably next week, the last class we'll have it. All right. So with this, we'll complete. Any other doubts you have, people? Okay. Everyone is using for official purpose only. Okay. So any other doubts, people? Any other doubts you have? Okay. Definition of fake news. See, definition of fake news, like, okay, fine. So the thing is that the difference actually, the difference between that as fake news, they said like it's an information. You can say it's a misinformation, but there is no part of intention. Sorry, I'm sorry. This is intentionally fabricated means it's deliberately spread. To deliberately spread hatred, to deliberately hate this, spread the hatred or any other things. That is what fake news is. What kind of a regulating body is required in India for providing right information to the people? Now that is very difficult. The thing is that you yourself has to verify every information. That is what. Anything else you can't do that. So it's very difficult to do that. Like fake information cannot be. It's very difficult. I tried my best. So okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, people. Other people. So your question related to Australian legislation we'll discuss, and then we'll discuss that. All right, Chandramohan, we'll discuss about that, like how exactly is a problematic. We'll discuss that also. Don't worry. See, this person, like a high court judge, he cannot issue guidelines on his own. Actually, maybe which one? I don't know. Like I not see that. Like I'll see to that. Like maybe what is the guidelines actually? See, it has to be based on a law, like based on his personal experience means. Within the purview, like if at all there is something which is lagging, or you see there is this concept of this judicial activism, right? So judiciary can act actually. Normal thing is judicially, higher judiciary has to interpret the law only. They should not recommend the law. That is what generally thinks. But now you have seen the concept wherein you see from judicial activism, sorry, from judicial interpretation to judicial activism to judicial intervention, judicial intervention to judicial overreach kind of thing. So you have transgressed their limits actually. But with respect to COVID guidelines, I don't think so. They can give, but if it is within the limits actually. So we see the courts, the judges, they can take action suo motu, because this is a kind of a public issue, right? COVID. So they can issue suo motu, they can take the matter suo motu, and they can issue notice suo motu also, and they can also dictate it. But I don't know, but based on the guidelines, if the guidelines is subject to that, whatever the already existing government norms, then if the government doesn't have any problem, if the government has any problem, they can go to the court and say that no, this is wrong. If the government doesn't have any problem, that guidelines will be followed. So whatever the court direction, they have to follow only. But generally speaking, this is a bad idea. Speaking about his own bad experience, personal experience, giving such directions is a bad idea. What he should have asked, like he should have asked, like what exactly the kind of actions taken by the state. Maybe then they'll ask, okay, what these are the problems they have. Why can't you incorporate these things? They should have issued a notice, and they should have asked the government to do that. Like, so giving guidelines is, it's a bad precedent actually. Even though howsoever it is good, howsoever it is right, but this sets a bad example. Now everyone will start issuing guidelines. So now the state, the government will definitely go and like do that. Okay, fine. All right. Any things, people? Can you write it then? So all right, then we'll wind up today. So we'll meet, actually the next class will be a last class, so we'll cover as much as possible in cybersecurity also, with this also. All right, so thank you, take care, stay safe, bye people, good night. Yeah, thank you, Gunal, thank you.